Hi friend, welcome to my creative corner. Today we're doing something a little different. We're packing my husband's lunches. Starting out by making him a dessert, I'm making him some peanut butter cookies. This is one of his favorite cookie recipes of all time, and it's so simple and easy to make. It's essentially 1 part sugar to 1 part peanut butter plus an egg, and I throw in vanilla extract, and I like to split up the sugars between brown and white sugar for a little difference in flavor. I think it creates a little bit of a chewier texture as well when you use brown sugar. This is actually a family recipe that we usually make around Christmas time, but my husband loves it so much that I'll make it sporadically throughout the year, even though it breaks the tradition. I love to make my husband's lunches because I know it's a blessing for him during a busy day and a busy work week to just be able to open up a healthy homemade lunch on his busy work day, and I'm very grateful for all he does for me. So this is just one of the ways I can show my love for him. And it is a great way to save in your budget. If you are eating out lunch every single day, you quickly realize how fast that adds up. So this is much more cost effective and helps us save money. You'll notice there are some very fun recipes in this video, but they are very budget friendly because that's the kind of lifestyle we live. So I keep my meals, especially lunches, on the budget friendly side. I'm not using anything crazy or fancy. So I just scooped those cookies out with a cookie scoop and I rolled each one into a ball, and now I'm using a fork to press it down and give it that classic peanut butter cookie look. Another fun thing you could put instead of making homemade peanut butter cookies would be those Pillsbury cookies. Next, I'm moving on to making him a quesadilla. I'm using some leftover chicken, and this is going to be a chicken ranch cheddar quesadilla, and I'm using a high fiber wrap so that he gets a little extra fiber in his lunch. So I'm just getting that cheddar grated up. I love to buy a big block of this at Costco and use it throughout the month. And I'm gonna do the trick where you cut a slit about halfway into the tortilla, and you put your ingredients into the 4 quadrants. So I'm starting with the chicken on the top left, and then I'm going to go in with some ranch on the top right, and then I'm going to put cheese on top of the chicken and on the empty section, and fold it up into this wonderful little triangle. And don't forget to season your chicken because chicken always needs more seasoning. I just used salt and garlic powder, but looking back on it, taco seasoning would have also been a good choice here. So here I am putting the ranch on one side and the cheese on the remaining spots so that everything gets melty and sticks together really well. If you've never made a quesadilla with this method of folding, I'd recommend you try it because it creates this perfect handheld portion, and my husband is an installer all around the city, so he's often eating while driving, so I imagine having an easily handheld meal would be a huge benefit to him. So now I'm just getting some butter into the cast iron, and I'm just going to brown each side of this quesadilla so that it gets golden and the cheese starts to melt. I prefer to do quesadillas in butter because I think it adds a lot of extra flavor. So that only takes about a couple minutes on each side of the quesadilla. Then I pulled those out and let them sort of cool off on a plate before I transfer them into his Tupperware. After I took the cookies out of the oven, I let them sit for just a minute on the cookie sheet. Now I'm transferring them to a wire rack so they can cool off before I put them in his lunch. I try to be pretty mindful about any hot items going into any Tupperware because I don't want any steam to build up and make anything soggy. But these cookies turned out great and we've been enjoying them throughout the week. I thought an apple would go really well with the peanut butter cookies. One of my favorite snacks of all time is apples and peanut butter. So this is like a little bit more fun version of that. So I went ahead and chopped up his apple, and I'm going to put that in a very convenient little Tupperware where one side is for the apple and one side is for the peanut butter cookie, so he knows exactly how I intended him to eat it. I think I got this Tupperware at either Target or Walmart a while ago, but I love collecting these little Tupperware with different sizes of containers on each side because you never know what types of ingredients you want to put in them. Now I'm plating up this quesadilla into a round Tupperware, and I'm going to work on a snack for him. So I'm going to make a parfait with graham crackers and one of these Chobani protein yogurts. I thought this would be a delicious combination because I find that granola gets very soggy in a parfait when it sits in like a lunchbox. But graham crackers are what the base of a cheesecake is. So in my mind, this is like a cheesecake. He said it tasted like ice cream. So I think that means it was good, and I like that it's giving him a little extra protein, so if he's hungry and wants to just have a quick snack, this is a fun one. So I started with a layer of the yogurt, And then I crushed up the graham crackers, and then I did a layer of the graham cracker crumbs, another layer of the yogurt, another layer of the graham crackers, and then I just topped it off with a dollop of the yogurt on top. We didn't have any fresh fruit on hand this day, but it would be a great idea to put some fresh fruit on top. Probably some berries, maybe some strawberries or some blueberries would go really well with this. Along with his lunch, I always pack him a bar and a jerky, some quick snacks if he's really hungry. I usually give him a soda, and I always give him a protein shake because he works out after work. And I always throw in a bag of chips because you gotta have chips with your lunch, and putting the spoon out now so I don't forget. And that's everything for his first day of lunch. Moving along to day 2 of his lunchbox. I'm starting by making a recipe I got from Chris and Step, and this was delicious. It's a chicken taco roll-up, so it's a creamy chicken taco filling that you put in a tortilla and you roll it up. I made this all in my stand mixer, but you could make this just by hand in a bowl, or if you have an electric mixer, that would work well too. And this was like a flavor explosion. I personally really enjoyed these roll-ups, and I was eating them along the way of making them. But they were just delicious from all that taco seasoning and adding in the salsa, and anything with cream cheese is pretty much going to be good. So I'm spreading that into another one of those high fiber tortillas, and I have that set on some plastic wrap, but you could probably just not use the plastic wrap. Honestly, I didn't think it was completely necessary. So I'm going ahead and rolling that up. Then I'm going to pop that in the fridge to let it firm up a little bit so it's a little bit more set up when I go ahead and cut it. It's kind of like sushi, like you cut it like sushi. It turns into little bite-sized portions. I made him 2 of these, and they're very filling because it's the chicken breast, which is high protein. Next, moving on to a snack that I made him. We had a ton of graham crackers from camping, so I laid out those graham crackers, and I'm just putting some Nutella in them, and he said these tasted like a cookie or something that you would get from a bakery. He really liked them. I can imagine that it's good because graham crackers and Nutella are both good on their own, so of course together they would be delicious. I'm just throwing those into a plastic bag for him. And next I'm going to get started on his main portion, and I'm going to be just doing a classic sandwich. This is going to be a roast beef and cheese sandwich. I asked him to pick up some deli meat and to pick out just whichever one he preferred, and he chose roast beef. So that's what we have on hand. And he's a mayo man, so he loves lots of mayo, so I'm making sure to put plenty on there. And this is just a very standard white bread, and I'm just putting that roast beef on there, giving him plenty since this is his main portion. I want it to be pretty filling for him. And then I'm going to add some cheese and top that with mustard. Mustard is so good on a sandwich. If you don't put it on a sandwich, you should try. I'm going to cut that in half so that he has an easier time eating it. Like I said, he'll probably be eating it in the car. Beautiful cross section there. And I'm going to put that into a Ziploc bag. Getting that puppy wrangled. Sometimes it's hard to fit a sandwich in a Ziploc bag. You don't want anything to fall out, so took my time, got it in there. Now I'm back to working on the roll-ups, and along with the roll-ups, I'm going to give him some chopped up carrot as the side portion to that. I just figured something crunchy and fresh would go really well with sort of a decadent lunch. He said that the carrots were so great, and mixed with the roll-ups, that is how he enjoyed it. So definitely I'm going to do this combo again. And I love to just use whole carrots. Like, I don't really buy baby carrots because from what I understand, there's additives in the baby carrots. So I just think a whole carrot's classic. So I'm going ahead and cutting that up and, of course, snacking on them as I go along and sharing them with the Toll, which is my dog. So I'm putting that in a Tupperware that I got on Amazon. I really like this one. It has 3 components. And I put ranch in one of the sides for carrot dipping. And now I'm cutting up the chicken taco roll-ups. And if you've ever made sushi, you'll know that this is exactly how you cut sushi, pretty much. I mean, according to me, not a professional sushi chef or anything. But yeah, you just cut it into these little coins. And they were delicious. And I ate the ends since they're not cute. I didn't want to fit them in the Tupperware. So that's how I got to test it out. And this was delicious. I really, really enjoyed this recipe. I'd highly recommend this one. And it sits well in a lunch. You know, some lunches get soggy and gross, but this one was just good. That was everything for his main portions of his lunch. And of course, I added his drinks and his extra snacks on the side. Moving on to day 3 of lunches, and I'm starting with a fun recipe. I'm making some peanut butter Nutella pretzel puppy chow. This was inspired by all the ingredients in my pantry, and I just thought it would go well together. And I looked it up, and it's kind of a thing, but not really a thing, so we're making it a thing. And really it's just a 1/4 cup of peanut butter, a 1/4 cup of Nutella. You microwave it for just 30 seconds until it's a little bit liquidy. You mix them together, and from there, the world is your oyster. You could really put anything in here. Traditionally, for puppy chow, it's going to be the plain rice Chex Mix, but I had this bag of pretzels that's just been wandering around my pantry for a while, so I decided to throw that in. So I just added as much as I thought would fold in easily, but I continued to add more. And then I also had these pistachios randomly, so I added a bunch of those, and this was a wonderful combo because the pistachios are very soft and have a nutty flavor, obviously, and that paired well with the very crunchy, salty pretzels, and altogether it was a very balanced treat. I'm just gently folding that together so the pretzels don't break too much, and then I put in a ton of powdered sugar until every pretzel is completely coated in the powdered sugar, because you really don't want the puppy chow to be too sticky. Next, I'm making him some deviled eggs. This is one of his favorite lunch treats because they're super easy to eat and it's a lovely way to get some protein in. And while those eggs cool in the ice bath, I'm going to make him another roast beef sandwich because that's a classic. So I'm making this exactly the same way, which is with tons of mayo. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some mustard, the cheese, and the roast beef. And I'm going to cut that so that he has a nice portion size. And this time I'm going to put the sandwich into a Tupperware. I love this Tupperware. I actually don't know where it came from or how I got it, but this is one of my favorites because it has a sandwich side and then it has a smaller compartment, which I love to put something like a hard-boiled egg in because it just fits it perfectly. So I'm just going ahead and peeling those hard-boiled eggs to get them ready to turn into deviled eggs, and these ones peeled up pretty well, so that was nice. Sometimes they don't. I'm just chopping those in half, taking out the yolks. And I got this recipe from some friends at church. We went to one of their Thanksgivings and they had deviled eggs and they were perfect. And they added mayo, a touch of mustard, and a touch of pickle juice. I used relish there, but it has a similar effect. It's going to add some vinegar elements. And I'm just mixing that all together. And since this is just for lunch, I'm not getting out the piping bag and making these look really extremely beautiful. I'm just going to spoon in the filling and then make sure that they are properly salted. And I actually don't have any smoked paprika right now, so I topped them with just a touch of cayenne pepper to give them some color. But actually what goes well on a deviled egg is a slice of jalapeno. That's a pro tip for you. Next, I'm making him another yogurt parfait because he enjoyed the last one. So again, with the Chobani yogurt, I'm going to do a layer of the yogurt. And then I'm going to do a layer of the graham cracker crumbs inside. And then I'm going to do another layer of the yogurt and then another layer of the graham crackers. And this time I did have some fresh fruit on hand, so I was able to top it with some blueberries. And I later went in and added some white chocolate chips because I thought that would just be a lovely combination. I get these Chobani yogurts at Costco and they have a great deal on the price, so I'd recommend that. And that's everything for his third day of lunches. Here's it all combined, and make sure to add the protein shake and, of course, the soda. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this inspired you and gave you some lunch ideas. Bye!